But we're also keeping an eye on what's happening with Apple because we had the announcement at yesterday's WWDC that they are done with Intel chips, and later this year they're going to be inserting their own chips into their products. The Mac business apparently is third largest unit, $26 billion in sales. So to talk about the impact of all of this and where Apple is headed, we invite into the program Bob O'Donnell. He is TECHnalysis Research President and Chief Analyst. Good to have you here, Bob.
Hey, Adam. How are you?
I'm good. Let me
Sorry,
ask
it's not visual.
It's okay. We all have technical issues sometimes, but let me ask you, this move by Apple, I'm going to put it in football terms because you went to Notre Dame. Is this going to be a mediocre move similar to Jerry Faust's coaching career, or is it going to be a Lou Holtz and lots of touchdowns?
Ouch, that was a tough one. All right, so look, it's going to be, I think in the long run, it's going to be a more of a Lou Holtz kind of a move. It's going to take a while to make this transition happen, but Apple has a long history of figuring out how to take the ARM architecture that they're using as the basis for this new chip. They did it with the iPhone. They did it with the iPad. They've been wanting to do it with the Mac because they ultimately want to control the entire experience. And so the goal that with this whole initiative was to be able to finally own the complete vertical stack of the Mac. And the last piece they really needed was the CPU. So, and I think they felt that the ARM architectures had gotten to the point and their capabilities had gotten to the point where they could make that work even on a Mac. And it's different on a Mac because, of course, the computing requirements are significantly higher than they are on a phone or a tablet. And so that's what's held them back from doing it. But I think it'll be interesting to see. I think there is a strong opportunity, but it's going to be an interesting transition, that's for sure.
Bob, it's Julie here. So is there going to be, I mean, obviously they made this announcement at the developers conference, which is more for people who are steeped in this stuff. Is there going to be any difference in the consumer experience at the end of the day? I mean, Apple, as you said, is known as being sort of a control freak kind of company, for lack of a better term. But is it just control for the sake of control, or what does it get at the end of the day?
Well, part of it is control for the sake of control. Part of it is hopefully they can improve their bill of materials costs and increase their margins slightly. And then the ultimate thing is they want to get better battery life for notebooks and better performance overall. The challenge, of course, is it's easier said than done. We've seen ARM-based CPUs in Windows computers from Qualcomm, their Snapdragon series, and then the 8CX they moved to on PCs, and with Microsoft. But to be honest, it's been only modestly successful, and the performance has been okay, but not great. So there are some question marks about how well this transition can happen. And so there's going to be more pressure on Apple to deliver against those challenges. To answer your question, sorry, Julie, and what benefits that means to the consumer is it lasts longer if I've got a notebook, and theoretically I get even better performance for the dollar.
Bob, it's Brian Chung here. I want to ask about wearables. Even though there wasn't any new release in terms of actual devices yesterday, it seems like there could be a greater selling point for the AirPods Pro because of the spatial audio that they incorporated, directional audio coming from that unit, which doesn't exist right now. How important do you think that's going to be for the next quarter for Apple, or the next 2 or 3, let's say, for example, quarters of Apple earnings in terms of whether or not we should see that demand pick up as hopefully some of these stores open back up and people can actually go and buy these products in the store?
It's a great question. I mean, look, the wearables market for them has proven to be huge. They made a couple of nice additions to the watch, particularly around sleep tracking, although there's some debate on how much sleep tracking it's actually doing. But that's something that people have wanted for a very long time on the Apple Watch. And yes, the surround sound capabilities on AirPod Pros is great. I think people are really going to enjoy that. And existing owners are going to be super happy because all of a sudden, boom, you're going to get an upgrade one day and it's just going to turn on. And I think people will get a kick out of that when they're watching movies and things along those lines. So, I mean, look, overall, I think we will see wearables continue to be a driving force. AirPods have proven to be extraordinarily popular. They made a number of nice refinements. I mean, ironically, even though they didn't have a wearable section, they actually had wearable software. There was a brief moment there where they specifically talked about AirPod updates and a number of things they did for the AirPod. And they all seem to be very practical things that people will actually really enjoy and make it easier to use them across multiple Apple devices, which of course ultimately is the long-term goal.
Bobby Nesfaret here, and given this development with the processor, will Apple be able to then drop products faster? And are you expecting it to release products faster, at least in the later on?
You know, it's a good question. I don't know if they're going to do it faster, but they can certainly do it at the pace that they would like to do. One of the challenges they've had over the 15 years they've worked with Intel is they have to time certain products with Intel's releases. And sometimes those didn't line up the way they wanted them to. So now they can maintain, you know, they can put out the new CPU when they want the new Macs to be coming out. I don't know that that increases frequency, to be dead honest with you, but it certainly aligns with when certain technologies can hit with certain products. And that, I know, is an issue that they've been concerned with, and I think that's part of the reasoning why they made this move.
This is a bit of a difference from the focus on Apple, but any particular reason why Intel is not taking a bigger hit from this news? Shouldn't they be trading for even, they're essentially flat right now? Well,
look, I mean, here's the thing to remember about Intel. I mean, Apple is only 7% of the PC market. So even if they lost all of it, while it's a hit, it's, you know, it's not the end of the world. But the other thing is and Apple made this point, now this is where it gets a little awkward, but, you know, they did this huge, wonderful thing about all these wonderful chips that they're going to do. But in the meantime, oh, by the way, we still love our other friend here at Intel because that's what they're going to sell for the next 2 years. So, you know, Intel won't really see this as an immediate hit. It's going to be a gradual thing, and it's going to take multiple years. And I guess the market is pricing that in and recognizing that there are other opportunities for Intel obviously on the infrastructure side that they're growing very strongly on for servers, for cloud. And as we start to build out 5G infrastructure, that becomes a big opportunity for Intel as well.
Good to have you here, Bob O'Donnell, TECHnalysis Research President and Chief Analyst. Next time, we will relive memories of the University of Miami versus Notre Dame, that great rivalry back in the late 80s and early 90s. All the best to you.
Thank you, sir. Take care, guys.
Hey, investors. Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.